All right.
Okay. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here. For those of you who are watching this recording after our live meeting, welcome and thank you for taking the time. We first want to start by apologizing for the issue with the Zoom link. If any of you had difficulty getting into the Zoom meeting, we apologize. There was a new link posted, but it was very close to the time of the start of the meeting. So we hope that if anyone did have an issue that you're able to watch this recording. So we're going to start with some introductions. Denise and I will go ahead and introduce ourselves, and then we would love to hear from each of you just a little bit about you. So I guess I will turn it over to Denise and then we'll go from there.
Okay, great. Yeah, again, our apologies and thanks for your graciousness in watching your email and pivoting quickly to this new link. I'm Denise Hess. I'm a palliative care chaplain by background. I think I said some of this in my introduction. I came to palliative care after a career as a psychotherapist and after taking some time off of working to be with my kids as they were growing up. And so I spent 10 plus years in an inpatient palliative care setting on a amazing transdisciplinary palliative care team. From there, I went to leadership roles within Catholic healthcare. I've always worked in Catholic healthcare. I'm not a Catholic, but I've always worked in Catholic healthcare, and have just recently transitioned out of those leadership roles, and since this is my main gig now, I'm semi-retired, on the road toward retirement. So I'm very excited about that. I split my time between living where I am right now in Phoenix, Arizona. My mom lives here. My dad passed away around the beginning of COVID. Sorry, my dad died around the beginning of COVID. I won't use the P word. Hopefully people can get in without being admitted. So my husband and I decided to spend more time with her in Phoenix. Welcome. And then the rest of the time we live in Portland, Oregon. Have an adult son and his wife who live in Seattle, and a daughter and her husband who live in Chicago. So with that, Jamie, and welcome, Kat.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jamie Goldberg. I am a palliative social worker by training. I did my MSW focusing in working with older adults, and did all of my field placements in the healthcare world. And after I finished my MSW, I did a fellowship in palliative care in Los Angeles at the VA. And I ended up staying with that team, fell in love with working with veterans, and really loved my team, and ended up staying at the VA in LA much longer than I anticipated, for a total of 8 years, before pivoting over to a large community hospital in LA called Cedars-Sinai, where I helped to kind of build their palliative care team. So I was in LA for a total of 12 years and really decided that I needed a change. And really wanted to kind of focus on more macro work in kind of the research and teaching and curriculum development realm, but still under the umbrella of palliative care. So right now I am in Madison, Wisconsin. I've been here since 2018. And I am working on my dissertation, hoping to graduate in May. And thanks, Kat. I need all the encouragement I can get at this point. I think I put this in my intro. My dissertation looks at adult children who are caregivers for their parent who harmed them in childhood, who are now caregiving for that parent through the parent's serious illness. And I'm actually going to be talking about this, the findings from my dissertation on Wednesday at the First Wise and Wonderful Wednesdays. So it's my shameless plug. There's no pressure to attend, but would love to have you Teaching is one of my absolute favorite things in the world. I really do love it. And through this program, Denise and I have connected and become the best of friends. This online world is so fascinating, and real connections really do come through the work that we do. So I hope that is helpful for you as you think about jumping into this course. I think we will go, as I know it's kind of annoying to be called on as adults, but I think it's the easiest way to be able to not talk over each other. So we're hoping that you can introduce yourself, your name, your location, your discipline, or your job, and how many courses you've taken in the program. If you want to share which ones, that's great too. And I'll put that in the chat as well in case you forget. So it's in the chat now. And Donna, do you want to start?
Hello, everyone. Good morning. I'm Donna Apolinario. I live in Tacoma, Washington, so I'm a Pacific Northwesterner like Denise. I do have roots also in Chicago, and my kids go to college in LA, so I have just a lot of commonalities there. I'm a physician, but my background is internal medicine and public health, but I took a long time. I took a long time off to take care of my kids. So it's like a 15-year maternity leave. So I'm just re-entering the workforce this year. So this is part of my pivot back into clinical work, hopefully in the field of palliative care. So this is my 6th class. I do have, I went on an accelerated track. So I started last year and I should be done this year. So I'm a full-time student, and I'm also actually, it just sounds crazy, but I'm doing another master's program at the same time through Johns Hopkins. It's a master's in health communication. So I'm a double full-time student. So that's it. Nice to meet everyone.
That's amazing. And I actually have the privilege of teaching 603, which is the healthcare communication and decision-making course, and then 613, which is the advanced course. So I would love to hear more about your master's in healthcare communication, because I think that there would be a lot of overlap with those two courses.
Yeah, that's what I've been trying to do. So like my projects for that class, I focus on palliative care as well. So just trying to make it.
Yeah, I would love to pick your brain about the resources that you're getting in the other program.
Okay, thank you.
Kat, do you want to go next?
Hey, I'm Kat. I'm a nurse practitioner in Fargo, North Dakota at Sanford. This will be my 4th course, my 2nd semester. I live just outside of Fargo on the Minnesota side, and I think that's about it.
Jenna, do you want to go next?
Hiya, I'm Jenna Johnson. I live in Germany. So that's different. It's a little later over here. I'm a social worker, but before I was a social worker, I was a respiratory care practitioner, and before that I was paramedic. So I've done a little bit of everything, run the gamut there, I guess. We've been mostly in Germany over the last 10 years. But we're headed back to the States probably next year. So that's going to be a big change. I used to work in pediatric ICU, so I have kind of an interest in providing palliative care to that population. And right now I'm teaching social work, and I'm a program director for an American program that provides education for for Americans associated with the military here in Germany and all throughout Europe. So I have students in 9 countries.
Wow, it's
Yeah.
amazing. And I know that Denise mentioned this in the written introduction, but I'll just say to everyone, because it really fits with your introduction, Jenna, that, you know, we're all experts in our own experience. So whether that's professional experience as an educator, as a social worker who is trained in psychosocial, cultural, and perhaps spiritual issues, like we all bring our own expertise. So we hope that you all will be able to share what you've learned along the way. I often say that this course is a life course more than anything else. And so everyone's an expert in their own life. So we hope that you will be able to bring that expertise and share throughout the 8 weeks.
Also, I'm originally from Los Angeles, so that's that. And I'll be in the States next week, and I'll actually be in Phoenix. So
So many connections. I love it.
So a lot of West Coasters, but yeah, that's and I also have family outside of Portland, so that whole quarter. And I lived in Seattle for a long time too, Donna. So yeah.
And I was gonna say, Kat, also that I used to live in Grand Forks, which is just north of Fargo, and I worked on the Minnesota side too in Crookston.
That's funny. It's a small world.
Yeah.
I love all these connections. It just, the world is so small. And I think Liz, are you?
Yes. Okay. Sorry about that.
No worries. Just wanted to make sure you're still with us.
Yeah. No, I stopped the video. I'm yelling at my Boston Terriers. So I didn't think you all need to see that. So Elizabeth Bailey, I am at the University of Maryland, Baltimore I work in the cardiac surgery department there. I'm a nurse practitioner. I've been there for about 1.5 years. I live in Southern Maryland, so travel about an hour one way to get to work, but it's not a bad drive. So I just became interested in this because of kind of thinking what my end game is. I came to nursing later. I was, to make a long story short, military first. I was a helicopter pilot. My husband just retired. I had a break in the middle where I raised my kids, and then decided after raising kids, I had enough experience, I should go to nursing school. And that's kind of how all this happened. I always kind of saw myself possibly as doing hospice palliative care for the Veteran Administration towards, that's kind of like my end goal, but I didn't realize how applicable what I was learning. This is my 3rd course. So I've done 601 and 603. I did not realize how applicable this was to what I was doing right now. Because of course at the University of Maryland, we're the end of the line for a lot of these people. So the acuity is extremely high. So I've learned so much, and not just dealing with the population, with communicating with them, communicating with my peers, with surgeons, and I've learned so much from what other students, the fact that this is multidisciplinary is probably the hugest thing about this program. And I've told everybody, it's like, it's a game changer for me. I will just end on, my husband said, this will be obviously my 2nd master's, and I have a degree from the Naval Academy in oceanography way back when. That was another life. He said, I've never heard you go through a program and never complain. You have not had one. And I was like, you're right. I have no complaints. I mean, I'm actually learning as I go along. And so that's huge. So he even noticed the fact that I'm happily going through this program and not suffering. So we're good to see everybody.
We're so happy. We're so happy. We're really glad to hear that. And Jenna, please forgive me. I think that you're not just starting the program, right?
No, this is,
okay.
I think I'm on the same pace as Liz.
Okay.
This is the course.
Perfect. So everyone here has taken courses in the program before. For those who may be watching this recording, if this is your first course, because some people do start in the spring, please feel free to reach out to us, to Denise and myself via email, and we're happy to do a little Blackboard tutorial for you. We'll also say that you have a wealth of information and expertise from all of your colleagues who have already taken classes in the program. So we know for those who may be new that Blackboard can be a sharp learning curve. So please don't feel shy at all about asking questions. No question is too small. We've all been there where we need to click on something and we just can't see it. So please feel free to post to Cyber Cafe if you have a question about Blackboard, or reach out to us individually if you would like a tutorial. With that, I'm going to pass it back to Denise. You're muted.
Yes. Thanks for all the intros. I love all the intersections. And, you know, to Jenna and anyone, if you find yourself in the same geographical area, I don't know if you're free, but feel free, we can connect. It's always fantastic. Jamie and I from time to time get the amazing, like wonderful serendipitous occasion to actually meet people face to face. So I just put that out there. No pressure, but we're both always totally open to that if you happen to be in our neck of the woods. And you'll see, as Jamie hinted at, and just to kind of give you an overview, Jamie will get in the nuts and bolts, but kind of the overview of the culture, the feeling of this course that we try to protect and sustain and create, is that this work really is relational. It is, of course, about palliative care principles that honor a different type of relationship between those formalized, sometimes hierarchical roles between the person in the white coat and the person in the hospital gown or not in the white coat. It's about really, you know, honoring the whole person and coming to embody those principles as a clinician. Yet, how we see this course is that it is an opportunity to explore our relationships with each other, with our non-clinical people in our lives. So you'll notice along the way, there will be journal reflection questions that might ask something like, so what were your earliest memories of grief? What were kind of some of the family rules or ways of being around showing emotions? I'm guessing you might not have been asked those questions in your other courses this far. Maybe you have, which is also great. But that's because what we are trying to do here is create a space for definitely developing and continuing to develop and hone your clinical skills. Yet when we look at the psychosocial and spiritual skills that hospice and palliative care folks need, they tend to be skills that come mostly out of our beingness more than our doingness. And if that doesn't make sense now, hopefully it will as we go along. So we will, you know, get into spaces about kind of exploring why is it challenging for us to be with pain and suffering that can't be fixed? It may be, you know, fixed in the actual sense, like not everyone responds to medication regimens in the way they're supposed to. So what do we do when we've kind of used all of the tools in our toolkit, and yet pain and or suffering, and those aren't always the same thing, persist? Who are we going to be in those situations? How are we going to be with others? And then the kind of extra bonus level of this course is, how are we going to be with ourselves? And if there was a kind of motto of this course, it would be something along the lines of how we are inside ourselves directly, profoundly hugely impacts how we do this work. They're inseparable. They're absolutely inseparable. So again, maybe dislike your other courses, or unlike your other courses thus far. We hope to provide 8 weeks of space for definitely critical engagement, reading challenging journal articles and book chapters, and space for reflection, looking in our family histories, in our network of relationships, exploring this whole idea of countertransference. Why is it that some patients we remember, we met them, let's say 10 years ago, and we had an encounter with them, and it sticks with us to this day, maybe in a profound, deeply moving, poignant way, maybe in a regretful, shame-filled, angsty way. Why is that? Well, as we'll read in one of the texts, I think I could speak for Jamie and I, kind of our favorite text, the When Professionals Weep book that you'll get into. One possibility when things like that happen is that something has been touched in us and has been kind of activated in us. And the goal when that happens, as you'll read in the book, and as we'll talk about in many different ways in the course, is not to try to fix that, not to try to make it go away, not to find the 10 easy steps to like get over my bias, past wounds, trauma, family baggage. That's not the goal. The goal that you will hear Jamie and I say over and over again until you're sick of us by the end of 8 weeks is it's just all about awareness, about self-awareness, about coming to know a little bit better this mysterious, changing, unfathomable, yet we'll try to fathom it, thing that we each have in ourselves. So that's kind of the hopefully that does, now people are clicking like, how can I drop this class, like looking into UMB, like this has to be optional, not required, right? They can't make me do this. And so I always have to balance, because I say those things because that's how I respond when I'm in an environment like this, and I'm supposed to be all about this kind of stuff, right? So I too have this inner resistance, like, oh, I've done that already, or I don't need to, I'm just working on how to get a job. Like, don't talk to me about stuff like this. Or I'm okay. Like, don't get me going with this kind of soft, airy fairy stuff. No disintended in using that slang or that colloquial. Don't make me talk about spiritual stuff. That's other people do that, not me. We get all of that. And we actually also welcome that resistance, because that's who we are. That's how we are as human beings. Change is hard. Looking at ourselves is not always pleasant. And so just come as you are, bring wherever and whatever you are right now, and know that you are welcome here. And we look forward to just engaging with you and watching you all engage with each other in whatever ways feed and nourish and replenish whatever it is inside of you that might be feeling a little bit empty right now. We're coming still, and in the midst of still, a very, very difficult time in healthcare. And whether you've been directly working in healthcare or on the sidelines of it, or just watching from afar, we're in a very, very challenging space globally, I think we can say. And it has taken a toll on all of us. So again, to the degree that it makes sense for you, feel free. This is our 100% permission to use this class to nurture yourself. And yes, there are assignments, and yes, there are things you have to do and read. but we invite you to do them in that spirit of giving back to yourself, of taking care of yourself, of, I'll even dare to say, loving yourself. So any I see nodding heads. I can't tell how the people listening later on the recording they are responding to this, but any comments or questions about that? Otherwise, we'll pass over to Jamie on the nuts and bolts.
I think it's great. Thank you for that intro. I mean, I think it would be good to have space to explore all of that, because yeah, as you can see, we all come from different backgrounds, and we all kind of have long, convoluted stories rather than a direct path to where we are.
Yeah. True.
And to add on to what you were saying, or like, oh, I've already done that. I have learned very quickly that the more times we can practice some of this stuff or have it reinforced is huge. And every example, it seems like I might think for a second, oh, I've already done that, but every person is different. So I definitely think this is good. I look forward to it.
We're so happy to hear. And along the lines of what Denise was saying, we're also different every time we come to something. Even if it feels familiar in some ways, there are new things to learn each time. You kind of roll it around and around.
You know, I think going off of what Liz said, being with so many other disciplines, I mean, Jamie, you're always giving me input, like, have you thought about this, or what about this perspective? You know, our perspectives, they're so narrow because of who we are and kind of where we come from. So going back to what Liz said again, like, different things keep coming up. Maybe the same thing keeps coming up because we need to process it differently or look at it differently. So I think hearing from so many disciplines to be able to do that, it's helpful. It's helpful to continue to revisit things sometimes.
I think it's also nice to have a level of normalization too, right? I think a lot of times when we're processing things, maybe we can externalize it so far, and then we come back to it and we think, oh, is that real? Or, you know, we need a little cheering squad to kind of say, yeah, that's real, you know, whether it's good or bad, but yeah. So it's nice to kind of have a class that's going to reinforce that and kind of look at, you know, what we externalize and what we internalize.
That's it.
Thank you all so much for sharing. What a great discussion. I love it. And just jumping off of what Jenna said, we do hope that this class is a really safe space for people to be able to share and explore, and to be able to get input from a cheering section that might say, you know what, I think about it this way, or I've been through the same thing and this is how I worked it through. Maybe that's helpful for you. So really creating that kind of community and that safe space. Thank you all so much. With that, I know that the kind of boring part of all of this is the nuts and bolts, but we do want to take some time just to go through kind of what the course looks like and expectations. So would it be okay to kind of pivot to that? Yeah, okay, great. So as Denise alluded to, this maybe this course might feel a bit different than other courses that you've taken. So we do really want you to have the time and the space over these short 8 weeks to be able to think and feel through this material. I'm going to say this very, very seriously. We know that we have all been socialized and conditioned to focus on grades and points and scores and all of that. And Denise and I wish that we could change the entire system. And we wish that we could get away from that completely for this particular course. We are, as we know, we all work in systems that we can't completely change. And the way that we approach this course is to really focus on feedback for you. We try to give our best and the most that we have to be able to offer you feedback and offer you new lenses to consider things. And so what we ask is that you give as much as you can, both in your own work that you're doing, as well as to support your colleagues, to support your classmates. And if you can let go of the points and the grades, we think, we've seen that it allows you to actually be with the material and absorb the material and kind of do the internal work to be able to gain as much as you can from this course. So we hope that even with the points and the scores and the grades and things like that, that you're able to kind of put that to the back and put the learning to the front. Just a few kind of important details to think about. So as you are introducing yourselves in discussion 1.0, once everyone has introduced themselves, we are going to compile a table with everyone's name and discipline and location and post that. So you all have that. We found that for a lot of students, it's helpful just to kind of have that next to their computer or have it open. So when you're reading the discussion, you're like, huh, that sounds interesting. And then you can go back and say, oh, that makes sense. They come from this lens, or, oh, that makes sense. That's their discipline, or whatever it might be. So we'll post that. Sometimes it takes students a little bit of time to introduce themselves. So it might take a week or so to get the table up, but we will put it up. One thing that we're going to be adding this semester, and we're just going to try it out to see how it goes. So sometimes as we learned this morning, sometimes there are technical issues. We've had many issues with students being able to access their Maryland emails. Either they forget to check because it's another email account, the forwarding that they set up doesn't work perfectly. And we do have a paired assignment where you will be paired with another classmate to be able to work on something. And so we don't want any extra stress or issues in trying to get in touch with people. So we're going to try it this year. I think we're going to wait till the first day, official day of class on Tuesday. And then we're going to send an email out to everyone, just asking you to reply just to us as instructors with an alternative email address and your phone number. It's not required, it's optional, but it will be really, really, really helpful to us as instructors if we need to get in touch with you or your partner for an assignment in the course to be able to get in touch with you. So just know that that's coming, and if you feel comfortable to please share that information. It won't be shared, it won't be kept, it will just be kept for these 8 weeks, it won't be shared with anyone. We're not going to post it, we're just going to hold on to it. So if we get an email from Jenna, let's say, saying, I can't get in touch with my partner, then we have a way to be able to find them, hunt them down, if you will, again, because there are just so many issues that we've run into with the Maryland email. So just know that those two things are coming. The chart with everyone's not contact information, with everyone's kind of background information that they've shared in discussion 1.0. And then this email on Tuesday, just asking for alternative contact information. And that's kind of the reasoning behind it that I just shared. You will see in Blackboard, for every module, there are required resources and recommended resources. We hope that this course, and we hope that every course in the program, is helping you to build your palliative care library. We absolutely do not expect you to go through every single recommended resource. We just want you to be able to have them, to know that they exist. If something sparks your interest and you have time and bandwidth, go for it. That's great. If you want to reference that additional resource that you read or found in the discussion, that's great. We are happy to engage with any and all resources that you'd like to share, but there are the ones that are required, and the ones that are recommended are just that, they're just recommended. You do not have to go through them. And that goes for all of the additional resources that Denise and I will share as well. So we love, if a question comes up, we will share a video or an article or a book. We will be all over it and happy to go deeper with you, to suggest ways that you can go deeper, but it's not meant for you to have to do any of that during these 8 weeks. We know that many of you have many other responsibilities. So some students, and I say this because some students have shared, oh my gosh, we love these resources. They're so amazing. We're so appreciative that you're sharing them. And then for others, it sometimes causes some anxiety because they're like, oh my gosh, there's already so much reading that I have to do. And then you're sharing more and I just can't do it. And I'm so overwhelmed. And our goal is not to cause stress. It's not to cause anxiety. It's not to make you overwhelmed. It's just that we're so excited and passionate about these topics and we love your questions. And so we want to give you as much as we can in these 8 weeks. But just know that Blackboard is available to you after the course is over. You can always go back. You can always, I know some students kind of copied and pasted some of the resources into a separate document. They just kept them for after the fact. So think of it more as building your library than extra work that you need to do. As Denise alluded to, the discussion board for this course is really the backbone of the course. So this is where there's so much in terms of idea exchange and resource exchange and depth of discussion. And oh my gosh, I posted my initial post and didn't think of these 12 other things that now I'm reading about that my colleagues shared in the discussion board, and wow, this is so amazing, and I'm having so many aha moments, and we love that. So all of that to say, this is not a course where you post the initial post and then read one colleague and respond to them and you're done for the week. We really, really hope that this will be a very interactive discussion board, and that is really where the depth of the course really comes in. The discussion board, we made the decision a couple of years ago to really, for most of the modules, except for this one and maybe one or two others, there is one discussion prompt for the week. This first week there are two, just because we're getting started, and it's there are two that are really important conversations that we need to have this first week. But for the most part, there's one discussion prompt each week, and that is, again, it's not less work. We're asking you to go deeper in that one discussion rather than a little bit more surface, perhaps, split into two discussions. So I hope that resonates and is helpful for you in terms of thinking about the work that you're going to be doing. Just a tip, a Blackboard tip for those of you who may not be as familiar with Blackboard. We highly, highly recommend writing your discussion posts in Word or in Google Docs or something other than directly in Blackboard, and then copying and pasting it in. We know that Blackboard crashes sometimes. It does funky things. We've all been there, so we never want you to lose your work. So one thing to note, though, I know I mentioned Google Docs, so you can write something in Google Docs and then copy and paste it in, but Blackboard and Google Docs do not play well together. So we ask that you please, anything that you're submitting in terms of an assignment as an attachment, we ask that you please do it in Word. As a Maryland student, you do have access to the Word suite. And if you need help with that, just let us know. But if you submit something as a Google Doc, it will not open for us, so we won't be able to read it. Again, just nuts and bolts, nitty gritty. Each discussion is due Thursday at 11:59, and each discussion is worth up to 20 points. Just a pro tip that goes back to what I was sharing before. If Denise or I or a colleague, again, one of your classmates, ask you a question in the discussion board, please respond to it. That is, again, if we're asking you a question, if one of your classmates is asking you a question, it means that we want to be able to engage. We want to be able to go further with this discussion. So we don't want to leave anyone hanging. We get a lot of questions about word counts and length and how long should things be. So our kind of general rule, we do have some kind of word count ranges in each of the discussions and assignments. We often say a couple of paragraphs at the bare minimum. We don't want a novel. Sometimes it is harder to actually make it more concise. So we want to be respectful that we do want you to read multiple colleagues' submissions. So we don't want it to be so long that it's not accessible to people, but more than a couple of sentences, really demonstrating, you know, your critical thinking and your depth of thinking, and asking questions too. It's okay to post and not have all the answers. So, you know, this is what I'm thinking about. I'm still working this through. You know, it's Thursday at 10 o'clock and I don't have all the answers yet, but I'm going to post and keep thinking about it and show what I've thought about over the course of the last few days. So any questions about kind of the discussion board, the discussions, expectations for the discussions? Okay.
I do appreciate, though, just having the one discussion, you know, because one of the things I found, it gets so cumbersome with the spider web, and, you know, I want to, and the way I've done it, if other people, as we go through this, I also would think it'd be great if other people shared like kind of how they attack discussion posts, because like, for instance, I tend to print them out at a certain point so I can kind of read through them and star something that I want to comment on. But then it's a working document, right? So people are still adding. And so I'm still trying to kind of find the ideal way to get everything out of the discussion board, but certainly having more weeks than not with just one will be helpful for me, because I really tend to go down a rabbit hole and have problems. So
thank you. Do people have tips or tricks for managing the discussion board?
I do think Blackboard is a little rough as far as seeing the thread. So really, I will kind of keep track of who I comment on, and then also who comments on mine, and I'll just keep track of how many posts really. And then if I see one, you know, because it just gives you the number, right? So if I see that number has changed, and I probably check it once in the evening. So if it's increased, so maybe you just print out that first page instead of the different threads, and then you can check to see if somebody has responded. And then it'll be more of a streamlined approach.
I tend to look like maybe 3 times in a week. I don't look every day unless somebody's responded to me or responded to a post that I posted. So I'll try to, if I can, get in an early post, like, I don't know, Tuesday through Thursday. And then I'll definitely be looking on Thursday, and then again on probably Friday and Saturday. And then if there are tons of extras, then I'll tend to look, but otherwise at that point, I'm trying to get ahead for next week.
I will also say that one of the reasons that we post the discipline list is So you can think about varying. I love Jenna's approach of like, oh, who's responding to me a lot and who do I want to kind of go deeper into relationship with and continue to respond to. That's one approach. That's beautiful. And you can also think, I'm a social worker. I really want to read what the doctors have to say. And I want to read what the pharmacists have to say. And maybe I can share some of my clinical pearls or my expertise with them. And maybe I'll choose to respond in an interdisciplinary way each week, and maybe choose a different person to respond to. So that's another approach, and you can change your approach every week, and that is fine. I will agree that Blackboard is cumbersome with the discussion. I will also mention in 603 last semester, we had about 20 students. And for whatever reason, in these two sections of 604, we have about 12 students each. So I think that the discussion will be maybe a little bit more manageable, just so you know what to expect.
I know something Jamie and I talk about too, and no one is obligated to do this, but I guess this is the caretaker in me speaking. I always really appreciate when someone has posted, let's say it's, coming up on Friday and Saturday, and theirs is the only post that doesn't have anyone replying to it. And again, that's the caretaker in me saying, oh gosh, Jamie and I, you'll see at the beginning, we will jump into your discussions quite a bit, like in week 1, definitely week 2, and then you'll see us tapering off. So sometimes we will jump in and reply, because we all know how this online learning environment can feel, right? It can kind of feel like, well, like all of my friends who are applying for jobs through Indeed, you just keep on throwing yourself out there, and it seems like there's a blank or a void, like no one is saying, I see you, I hear you. So if that pulls on anyone else's heartstrings, we also invite you to look for the post that doesn't have any responses or many, and join into that dialogue too.
With that, you'll also see that Denise and I post a fair amount of summary posts rather than responding to each of you individually. So if you don't get an individual response from one of your course managers, it doesn't mean anything about your work. It means that we've read it and incorporated it with we're keeping track of all the threads and finding themes. And so please look in the list of on the discussion board for our names, because those are going to be, again, summary posts like, oh, half of you mentioned this really important thing. Here's another way to think about it, or here are some more questions, or here are some more resources. A quarter of you had this question. Let's talk about it. So we'll start additional threads, which again is a little cumbersome in Blackboard, but the best way that we know how to do that. So if you're getting lost in the sea of threads, you can look for our name, and those will be more summary posts that will kind of bring it together for you. Okay, so I want to be respectful of all of your time. So we'll just kind of breeze through some of the additional nuts and bolts and let you go on with the rest of your day or evening for Jenna. In terms of assignments, there is an assignment to be submitted for most weeks, not all. So for the last couple of weeks, as we know, you're getting kind of tired, there are CAPC modules to move through, but nothing to submit in terms of an assignment. We very intentionally tried to vary the format. Thanks so much for being here, Jenna. So great to meet you. See you in Blackboard. So we very intentionally tried to vary the format of the assignments that you're submitting. So for example, for module 1, you're going to be watching a video, and then what you're submitting is actually in bullet point form. You don't have to write more sentences. You don't have to format anything. It's really you're going to be analyzing this video and submitting in bullet form. For module 2, you're going to be doing a Venn diagram, which is one of those diagrams where there's a circle and another circle, and then they intersect in the middle. And so it's just we know that this course can be kind of emotionally intensive and very heavy on reflection. And so we don't always want you to have to worry about writing more prose because we know that that can be draining for some people. So we really try to vary the format. I did mention before, so it's assignment 5.1, where you're going to be paired with another student and you're going to be doing a virtual role play and recording that. We know for some people this might raise your anxiety immediately in an online course. It is the only way that we can actually practice our skills in a very real way. So we hope by module 5 that you are feeling comfortable with each other. We are going to post the pairs. We'll choose for you, so you don't need to worry about that. And more on that in the coming weeks. But again, just know that this is a safe space to practice, and we are not looking at these recordings in a punitive, judgmental kind of way. Our goal is to help you to build your skills. I just want to go back to module 2 for just 1 second and just mention here, it's very well described in very big bold letters in Blackboard, but for module 2, the assignment and the discussion are actually combined into 150-point deliverable, if you will. And so they build on each other. So for that particular week, the bulk of the work is at the forefront of the week. You'll do the work, you'll do the Venn diagram, and then you'll post that all by Thursday, and then you'll respond to your colleagues by Sunday, as usual. So that's just a little tweak in that week, but it's all described, and it will make sense when we get to next week. Mentioned all of that. The assignments are all due except for module 2 by Sunday at 11:59. So again, initial discussion posts Thursday 11:59. Assignments due by Sunday at 11:59. For the discussions, you want to respond to at least one colleague. We hope more, but at least one by Sunday at 11:59. And then we also have the reflection journals. As Denise mentioned, these are, we have specific prompts for you to be able to guide your reflection. These are submitted as Word documents through Blackboard, and they are on the even weeks, weeks 2, 4, 6, and 8, also due Sunday at 11:59 p.m. As I mentioned, they're in week 7 and 8 in place of the more traditional submission assignment. We are asking you to complete the CAPC courses. Those are, if you complete them, you get credit for them. There are mid and end of course evaluations in week 4 and week 8. I cannot explain to you why, but they are 2 totally different systems of how the data is collected. So the mid-course evaluation, the link is actually in Blackboard. It's at the bottom of module 4. You just click on it and it will take you to the survey and you complete it. For the end of course evaluation, it has nothing to do with us. It is not in Blackboard. You as students will get emails directly from the school with a link to be able to complete it. My understanding is that they send you email after email after email until you complete it. And I think those start in like week 6 or 7 where you're asked to complete them. So I will say on behalf of Denise and myself, we read every single word of every single evaluation, and your feedback has really helped us to be able to improve this course. So actually one of the assignments that we have I think is module 3 is the cheat sheet assignment. That came directly from feedback that we received from a student. And we were like, this is so great. Yes, we're going to do this. And so we really do listen and we really do read. So please, I know it's one more thing to do, but it really does mean a lot to us to get your feedback and get your ideas. I will say we do treat the last week of this course as a regular week. So technically the semester ends on Friday, but we give you till Sunday to get everything in. We just treat it as a regular week. We know that all of you are pulled in many different directions. So we want you to be able to have the weekend to be able to get that work done. I think I'm going to send it back to Denise just to talk a little bit about kind of some more general important information about your submissions and about the course. But before I do that, any questions about the assignments, the reflections, the discussion board, anything that we can answer for you? Okay, Denise, all you.
I am not recalling what it is that you want me to say right now.
Okay, no worries. I have my cheat sheet here, and I promise this won't take very long. I'm just gonna keep going.
I was all queued up with my final. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Just a few more minutes. I promise. So as I mentioned before, you are absolutely welcome. Feel free to bring in outside resources, citations. If you read something in the New York Times or the New Yorker or wherever you want to share, or, oh my gosh, this amazing book is coming out, please share it either in the discussion board, if it's relevant to the topic that we're discussing, or in Cyber Cafe. I did create in Cyber Cafe, there's a thread for upcoming events and a thread for resources to share. So please feel free to just keep responding to that thread if you'd like to share anything. None of that is required, but if you just happen to come across something, please feel free. Citations. So this is often a source of stress for students. And I hope that this will just demystify and make it a little easier for you. If you're used to AMA style, great. If you're used to APA style, also great. Use whatever works for you. It doesn't matter to us. What matters to us is that you recognize that if you are paraphrasing or you learn something from a work that somebody else put time and effort into, that you give them credit for the work that they did. That is the main point of citations. It's not, again, it's not to cause you stress. It's not to be sticklers about commas and page numbers and where the period goes and if something's italicized. That's not the point of it. The point is just to give credit where credit is due. So use whatever style you want, but please be consistent. There is in Cyber Cafe a citation cheat sheet that is posted that will give you 99.9% of anything that you are citing. It will just tell you how to do it. There are also online resources that are in that thread. I personally use Purdue OWL on a daily basis and find that the most straightforward. So I literally just go on there, search how to cite something, and then it gives me an example, and I just plug in the information that I need. There's no set number of citations required. Most of the things that you're going to be citing are already listed in Blackboard. You are welcome to copy and paste the citation from Blackboard into your work. That is absolutely fine. I mentioned about the summary posts already, so I'll move through that. Grading. So we get our feedback to you very quickly. We try very hard to get everything back to you before the next module starts, usually within days of when you submit it. Some of the bigger assignments might take a little bit more time, like the video, for example. We really like to be as equitable as we can. And sometimes we might be doing a little bit of grading here, a little bit of grading there. So what we do, and those of you who have had courses with me before kind of know the drill in terms of hiding columns in the gradebook. So when we start working on providing feedback for you, we hide the entire column of what we're working on. So if we're working on giving you feedback for discussion 1.1, you will see that discussion 1.1 will disappear from your gradebook for a little bit. And that's just because we want to get through all of the grading and then release the feedback, release the grades for everyone at the same time, just to be equitable. So please don't fret, please don't panic that the grade book is wrong or something, disappeared. It will reappear within days. Our grading style, and this really relates back to what we shared at the beginning, our grading style is really looking for substance, critical thinking, citing when appropriate, again, not taking credit for somebody else's work, really clear and thoughtful interactions with your colleagues and with us, as well as really thoughtfully engaging with the reading and resources that are required for each week. So that's really what we're looking for. We're looking for you to be doing the internal work that you need to do, engaging with the materials that we're providing, and being able to kind of share your process throughout the course. So really substance is what and depth is what we're looking for. We know that this is a really stressful time, continues to be a stressful time. And so we want to be as flexible as humanly possible. So if you need an extension on something, that's fine. Just email us in advance. It's really hard for us to go back in time. So if we don't hear from you, we're kind of, our hand is sort of forced and we have to take off points and we hate doing it. So just email us in advance and say, you don't even need to give us an excuse. We always love to hear from you and love to know what's going on in your life. But if it's just time got away from me this week and things were really hard, it's okay to ask for an extension. We're all adult learners. So we want to be flexible. Just email us and say, I need an extension. If we don't hear from you and we see that you didn't submit something, we will reach out to you. This is another reason why we're going to ask for alternative contact information, because sometimes we'll reach out to somebody through their Maryland email, which is all we have, and then we don't hear from them. And then we really start to worry that something happened or somebody is sick or somebody is triggered by the material in this course. It's intense, it can be intense, and it can bring up a lot of stuff for people. So we really want to stay in contact with you and to make sure that you are doing okay and that you know that we're here to support you. So if any submissions that are due Friday morning, Sunday or Monday morning when we wake up, if something's not there, you'll hear from us. And it's not punitive. It's just really more of a check-in. All right, I think that is just about it. All of you who have taken courses before know to start with the start here. There's a syllabus and honey-do list. Print those out, visit them often. If anyone is having issues getting the textbook, so the textbook of palliative medicine, there's the newest edition, and that is available electronically through the library, so you don't need to purchase that. The other two, When Professionals Weep and Making Healthcare Whole, we hope you will enjoy adding to your library. They're good to have. If you are having any issues, please let us know, and we will do our best to get PDFs to you or get the material to you as soon as possible. It may take a few clicks to get to a particular article. I don't know the background information about how Blackboard works and copyright laws and all of that, but I know sometimes you click on something in Blackboard and it takes you right to the PDF. Sometimes you click on it and then you have to keep clicking and keep clicking. Just keep clicking, you should be able to get there. If you run into any issues and you're having difficulty accessing anything, please just post to Cyber Cafe as soon as possible. Denise and I both subscribe to Cyber Cafe, so we get email notification whenever there's a post. So if there's an issue, we'll get on it as quickly as we possibly can. Okay, I think that is it. Any questions, concerns, worries, anything that anyone would like to share?
I mean, just a quick question about the books. Ahead of time, I didn't look to see the books that will be required. I did notice that we can download 2 of the books, that the When Professionals Weep. When are we going to be using that one? I just want to make sure I'm ordering it in time.
Yeah, so When Professionals Weep, there is some assigned for this week. So if you can order it ASAP, that's great. And honestly, there are copyright issues, but we kind of say that, you know, it's more important for our students to have the materials that they need. So we usually end up posting a PDF of the first chapter of When Professionals Weep. So I think we'll just go ahead and do that for both sections. But please order it as soon as you can. There is, I believe, for When Professionals Weep, there is a Kindle version, so you could get it immediately.
I have it.
And then
Okay,
the
I'll
hard
grab
copy.
that.
Yeah, so you should be able to get it immediately. And the hard copy, you know, if you order from someplace that does quick shipping, should come soon. All right. Denise is going to close us out in her amazing chaplain way.
Well, I'm really excited. Jamie and I are always excited when we start with a newer group. But this, excited once again, and really grateful that you all took the time to come and join in this orientation. And we'll just look forward to all that unfolds over the next few weeks. So I most often will post a poem once a week that sometimes picks up on the themes that we'll cover in the course. And so I'm going to read the one that's already posted in Blackboard for week 1. And it's a poem called Clearing by Martha Postlethwaite. Do not try to save the whole world or do anything grandiose. Instead, create a clearing in the dense forest of your life and wait there patiently until the song that is your life falls into your own cupped hands and you recognize it and greet it. Only then will you know how to give yourself to this world so worthy of rescue. So may we all find that space of clearing together in this course. And again, thank you all. We look forward to seeing you on the discussion boards. And I will turn off the recording right now, just in case anyone wants to